Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tuber. Welcome back. It is your 9th The Crowded Room episode review. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the big old world. We're approaching the end. This is the penultimate episode. Next week is the big old finale. Again, like I said in the top, this is a one-season story. This is just limited event. After episode 10, that's it. No season 2. I highly doubt it will get a season 2 because of the very negative reception at the beginning of the show. So I don't imagine, even if they leave this show on the cliffhanger, besides the way they end this episode seems to make it a much more finite ending, so to speak. And honestly, the ending was a little bit unexpected, and I'm actually really surprised. And I feel like this is going to go in a certain direction that I haven't seen in a very long time, personally. Again, I know there's a lot of different media. I know there's different movies, different shows, different other ways to tell your story. I do know that, but it's just I haven't seen what I think could happen in episode 10 happen in a long time for me, and I'm very excited to see how is that going to profoundly impact the characters as we proceed past the this point where a lot was said, a lot has been done, and now it's just like the question of living is now the final question this show needs to answer for itself as we get to it. But I feel like this episode did a really good job of starting to really tighten up the ship, create a lot of actual tension, trying to figure out what side are people going to choose, how is the narrative going to go, and it's honestly this was really well done. It really was, and I can't wait to see how they're going to wrap it up next week. But for now, let's go for the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of The Crowded Room. So we begin. It's bright and early. It's the first day of court. Danny is in his brand new suit. This is also the first time, sadly, he's learning how to tie a tie by himself. I think Ray just finished having sex with the detective, continuing their little sexual intercourse affair, if that sounds anything like a real sentence at all. Everyone's gathering to the courthouse. It's the big opening day. It's just it's mostly just opening deliberations. That's it. That's literally just the first day. As we begin the trial, the prosecutor immediately paints Danny as he is a very violent, very oppressed young man, who has injured 3 people. While no one was thankfully killed, he still had a weapon. He still had the means to fire and attack innocent citizens, and that he needs to go to prison for the rest of his life to prevent any other future accidents incidents like this one. While Danny's lawyer is trying to plead of again what he and Ray were talking about earlier in the series is that Danny has multiple personality disorder, that he needs help. He does not need to go to prison. He doesn't need to spend 50 years in a jailhouse. He needs to go to a special place to get the help he needs, to get the special attention he needs. But that, again, this was in the 70s. So I'm using any of this psychiatric term is very difficult to prove in court back then. Obviously a lot has happened in the last 50 years since then, but it's very difficult to prove that sort of thing. It very is, especially in front of a juror that's probably already got biased against Danny of that he probably he willingly did so, and he's only using this to kind of get out of it. And that's kind of the steep wall they're facing. After the opening deliberations are over, the lawyer pulls aside Rai saying that our big golden goose right now is Danny's mom. If we can get Danny's mom to prove and state yes, Danny was sexually abused as a child, that's the key they need to kind of win the case for them, or at least get a very good amount of the jurors to benefit their side of things. They just need that big thing. But of course Danny's mom is not answering the subpoena. She's just not present there, and it's just again, it's not something that they need this right now. But of course, obviously Danny's mom is very much very shocked, or is not being able to get the confidence to do so, because not only can her husband probably hurt her after the fact if she does testify against him, basically, because she would be admitting that yes, the Danny's stepdad, my husband, sexually assaulted him as a child. That would basically destroy her reputation as a mother. But at the same time, she knows what he did was completely wrong, but at the same time, she would be considered labeled a bad mother for how did you let that happen to your own child? How would you let that happen? So she's very much on the fence. She does not want to go to that side because she does not want to admit any wrongdoing on her part. And right now they're trying to call her up. It's not working. No one's like, they're not picking up the phone. And clearly, again, like, the husband has very much influenced her of like, don't answer, don't do anything. If you got a mind to speak, say nothing at all. Like, all you got to do is just stay quiet and just let me happen, with the case. Let me do the talking, and then everything will be blown over, and, this problem will be right behind us. Yeah, there wasn't really much interaction with, like, before we go further. There wasn't any interaction between Danny and Rye this episode. I don't even think Tom Holland had a line this episode. I think it was mainly his facial expression, which, again, he does excel at. So, again, kudos to him. Yeah, I'm trying to think, did we ever get... I don't believe we had I don't even think we had a single moment where he talked. So, again, kudos to him for, like, just communicating everything about his emotion and his, everything just like he's thinking via just, facial expressions and stuff like that. So that's actually was a really nice touch. So I believe we get into day 2. The primary witness is Danny's stepdad, who is just once again just already laying out to the facts of like, yep, Danny did a lot of shitty things in high school. He got into fights, did drugs, was very violent, hurt a lot of people, ran away. Like, yeah, Danny, probably broke and, like, yeah, he didn't want to take him to the police at the time because, yeah, he's my stepson. Why would I do that against him? But, like, yeah, I'm not going to deny that Danny is a very troubled child, and then maybe going to prison is what he needs to allow him to finally learn the consequences of his actions. Again, him trying to scapegoat him as, like, the main problem here, not even touching upon, like, the reality of what he has done before to Danny. And again, like, he's painting himself as like but it's not like a god, but more like just like, this is a man. Like, he's a man. He took in like a woman and her child, gave them like assistance in their time of need, was a provider to them, has a great job already helping kids. Like, again, like, it really, I want to say he took that position just in case this happened, to have himself like dealt as already like, hey, I'm a good person. Like, I don't know what you're talking about over here. But yeah, so they're really not able to do anything with his incident because, like, yeah, he's very pro. Like, Danny is the bad guy here. You got to put him the right way. That's it. Don't ask any more questions on my part. And that's really all they can do. Even when he comes home the first day, again, he's just nailing down home of like, hey, it's good that you're not there. It's good that you're just here at the house, taking care of things. And yeah, that's all you really need to do right now. Just stay home, and then this will all blow over. Danny's mom gets a call from Danny himself, just asking about her and like, why she hasn't been at that, seeing him in prison, in jail and everything. She's just excusing herself, like, I'm sorry, I've been meaning to get down there. But again, it's another one of those like inside herself. She feels ashamed that not only did her failure to protect him and to make sure that he has a chance at a future, she basically kind of led him down this path of like, he's now behind bars. That, there's a good chance she may never get to see him again, like on the outside world. There probably will not be a chance. And she's ashamed by it because she would have to admit that. And she doesn't also probably want to promise him, hey, I got you in court. She probably doesn't even want to promise him that because she knows she's going to let him down again because like she's more scared of her husband than anything else right now. Like, what could he do to her if she goes against him? But eventually she does get the gall. She decides to go down to the courthouse on the third day of deliberations, where I want to say Danny's... I forgot who goes first. I know I believe it's the drug dealer that goes next. He's basically, like, again, painting the picture that Danny is a very violent person, that they did very illicit acts together, and that, yeah, Danny was a monster, like, at the end of their, time together. Again, like, mainly, like, pushing the negative narrative to them. So then I want to say beyond that point, actually I'm confused. I don't know if she went the third day or the fourth day. I know she wasn't. I don't think she was there at the beginning. I know at the fourth day, we get to Danny's, well, I guess crush, not really girlfriend, mind you, going up. And yeah, she's giving a much more positive example of how Danny was not the problem here. He wasn't. He was a very nice guy. Didn't do anything wrong against her. Was just very sweet. Even he showcases the self-portrait that he drew for her. And like again, like and finally for once we're getting some positivity going to Danny here. But of course the prosecution comes in and says that was there any other examples of Danny being a violent person? And again, even though like she just said her point of like, yeah, Danny would sometimes have blank moments where like Danny would be there and then Danny would be gone. And then that point's like, yeah, this violent person came out. She brings up the fact that Danny one time like really like beat up her boyfriend, beat up a bunch of kids at school. Again, once again, going back on the offensive against Danny here. Like, it's, the little things they're able to do to humanize Danny, it just literally gets destroyed in the next minute because, the other personalities took over and really created a number on his reputation overall. So I want to say that was the end. That was the day that, Danny's mom came over and Rye goes to talk to her, like letting her know, like, yeah, like right now, like, our arguments are like not going to do shit against the end of the day. They're going to vote that he's guilty. We need your support. We need you to testify. And she's still like, nope, and absolutely not at all. I'm just here to like see the proceedings, and that's basically it. I'm going to go home. My husband needs me to cook dinner. So she leaves already in a hurry. Again, like really just not understanding the gravitas of like what her impact, what her words could mean at the end of the day. I want to say by day 4, this is when again they're trying to push the multiple personality argument where Adriana's boyfriend comes in and explains to somehow tries to explain to the jury of like, yeah, like I'm looking at what Adriana looked like, but it's not Adriana, like And again, the person was just, the prosecutors just said, oh, it was probably a persona that Danny put on. Like, he crafted the character, and, like, that's not another personality, another, I forgot what they had another variation of the name that they used here. But basically, like, Danny created that for himself to have this secret double life to kind of, confuse people at the bar, and like he was just one of them, and definitely destroying his example of love, so to speak. Again, it was actually pretty sick that like that this guy who had I forgot his name, but like he had very like actual feelings for Adriana, and then this woman's basically this prosecutor saying that no, you never had feelings for her, she wasn't real, it was just Danny pretending, like that wasn't real. I'm like, yeah, you don't know what love is, woman, you really don't know what love is. So yeah, again, once destroying the defense's argument here. Danny's mom returns for the second day as well. The lawyer goes to talk to her again, like saying that, hey, look, if you don't testify in court, I will hold you in contempt of court for like not showing up for your subpoena. She's like, go ahead, contempt me. I'm not gonna go up in the stand again. Like she's very much not willing at this margin to go up there and like reveal what she knows, reveal the faults that she made. Then finally, Ray's up on the prosecutor, saying, again, trying to pitch the actual definition of multiple personality disorder. And again, sad to say that it just doesn't really work, because again, the prosecutor, like as much as like she, Rye's argument is very much based in credible facts, as well as just it being super early into the research about it, she's still very much like, yeah, no, you're wrong. Like the only reason you even care about this case, why you even connected with Danny, is because it's clear as day. Like, we know that your funding for your projects have been, dried up. That, this case, should you prove that, like, yes, Danny has MPD, that, this would be the next big thing for you. This could be like a big grant, more, I forgot the term. It's more eyes on you as a person, for your work. It's like, you don't care about Danny. You don't care about the actual, disease. You're just using it to benefit your own research. That's it. And, again, like, Danny probably never knew that too. So I'm like, I could imagine what Danny felt of like, oh, Ray was also doing this for her research. I'm like, that probably hurts. Cause like, as much as they bonded for like the past month and some change, the fact that Ray, obviously was using this also for her own like research purposes, for her own agenda, like it probably hurt him too. And Rye feeling the fact of like her, like, let's be honest, at the beginning, yes, there was probable actual, real objective, like, I need this to work for my studies, I need this to be the thing that I need for my career to take off. And then the more she got to know Danny, the more she got to care about her, because like, again, like, she wouldn't have had that crying scene when Danny kind of admitted that, yes, I was sexually assaulted as a child. Like, she would not have had that reaction in the car if she didn't care about Danny. And the fact that, the prosecutor is basically saying that, you never cared about Danny. You never did. Like, you had, very selfish intentions. And now I'm telling you that, yeah, you do not care about Danny. That this is not a real thing. This is just to benefit you. So after that day, she cried. Well, and again, shout out to Amanda Seinfeld for, holding in the cries when she's leaving the courthouse. And then by the time she gets to the street, she's just like, has that moment where like you see with her facial expression, like she's about to tear up. And then she's like, nope, there's witnesses around here. Like I can't cry because like, that can like basically, that can also work against me. So definitely it's not something that she can't admit right now. So she goes over to the nearby diner, trying to get a cup of coffee, just calm herself down. Danny's mom shows up, yells at her for like, hey, you only picked my child because you only want to help my child to benefit yourself. And she's like, yeah, that's how it started. Like, they chose me to come to the police station, give my analysis of him, and then eventually I wanted to see more about him, see if there's anything more here. And then eventually I did gain genuine, emotions for your son. I did care. I do care about him. I did also admit that I had other intentions with him at the start. But, I'm owning up to that. You're still not owning up to the fact that you were aware of the fact that your husband sexually assaulted him, and you're not willing to go up in the stand and testify against him. And, Rye just gives up a point in her career where, like, one time she was helping this girl out with her problems, and, that girl also was a victim of sexual assault. I forgot if it was, like, she gave birth to a daughter from sexual assault. Like, I forgot how it went, but, like, basically, like, Rye witnessed it firsthand, like, just how much the impact could be on a person, especially if they don't admit it. So, again, just pushing her, like, you need to do the right thing. I believe there's one more day left to the testimony, so I'm like, if you can be there to help Danny, that would be greatly appreciated. And she thinks about it for a while, and, and she's like, yes, I need to help Danny. I need to finally help my son. I need to, abandon the negativity in my life right now and go do my best for my son, because that's what a real mother does. So the next morning comes, she pretends to head off to work, pretends to, like, resume life as normal. But as soon as her husband leaves, she packs up all of her things. She gets everything ready. She loads up everything into the car and drives out to Manhattan to testify for her son. However, her husband knew that she was going to do that. She knew, like, yeah, this is the last day. I'm pretty sure the lawyer probably had some talks with you. So I'm like, yeah, not the lawyer, the psychiatrist had some talks with you. So I'm like, yeah, I knew you were going to do this. You were very predictable. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to force you out of the courthouse to, like, prevent you from doing it. But I will tell you that, if you say what you think is the truth, okay, you can say what you want. There's nothing I can do about it. But what will happen is that, again, like I said before, your reputation is gone. They're probably going to fire you. You will lose your house. You will lose your husband. And if your argument isn't enough to convince the jury, you will also lose your son. So be very careful what you do here. Be very careful. Are you willing to sacrifice the semblance of a life you have right now to do the right thing? And honestly, that's fucking shitty. That really is a shitty thing. And, yeah, this guy's a fucking scumbag by this point. So she goes into the courtroom. She gives a brief hope to Danny, looking at him like, I got you. But I'm like, no, you don't got him at all. She goes up in the stand. Danny's lawyer is ready to, like, speak the flow about Danny as a person, and eventually getting to the hard question: have you ever witnessed or have been aware that Danny has been sexually assaulted as a child? And again, the prosecutor trying to, like, prevent that, because, again, she knows that that's going to help their narrative, their case here. Thankfully, the lawyer's like, overruled, and I'm like, I love that shit. I love it. But it would have been a much more bigger gut punch. But sadly, what happens next is that Danny's mom rethinks it. She looks at her husband, she looks at Rye, and she looks at Danny, and she declines and denies that he was raped as a child. And honestly, that was like the lowest blow a mother can do to their child. It really was. To see a mother who literally is possibly holding the fate of her child in her hand, and she denies the truth. She denies what she knows. She lies under oath. She is lying under oath. And sadly, whenever you do the oath, I'm like, the court is basically saying, like, we hope that you will tell the truth. We hope. But in reality, like, people still lie every day, just, to fit their agenda, fit what, like, to keep everything that they have intact. Honestly, it really was devastating. It really was. I looked at Danny's face, and he was like, I feel so sorry for him right now. Like, his mom he thought his mom was finally going to save him. and she didn't. And that probably hurt him at the end of the day. It not did hurt. It did it not probably it did hurt him. It did hurt him. And the mom like put on the straightest face possible, just dead staring. No, that did not happen. And the way she walked out of the courtroom by herself, I'm just like, wow, that really happened. The case is over. Like, that was the golden goose they need, and they lost it. Whether it was her last minute like decision or like the husband's words finally got to her, like I don't know what hell happened in that moment, but she made one of the biggest mistakes in her life. She basically sent her son to die. She goes home. She cooks dinner, presumably to resume her life. And yeah, that's basically, what they said about that. Ryan the lawyer are basically admitting that this is the end. This is the end of Danny's, fight, because they weren't able to fully prove it. But to end the episode, we're at the at Danny's cell where he pulls out the paperclip. He's still at the end of the last episode, and he pulls out the metal clip that that binds everything together, and he removes it, and he. It's off camera, but I'm assuming he's using it to cut his wrist open. And he lies down in a little bit of pain, and he just sleeps. And that was the end of the episode. Again, it's not confirmed or not whether or not he did do what I just said, but like the way it's assumed, the way it was shot, the way the motion was, it's implied that he cut himself. That he's cutting himself open to bleed out. And consuming like the guards never check on him at night, because that's how a person is. There is good credence when we come back next week that Danny could be dead. But that was the end of the episode. For me, I thought I think it was the most emotionally charged episode we've gotten in the whole series so far. Seeing just fully where everyone stands, where the corruption lies, the deceit, how the system is to cater to larger agendas, and Danny's just stuck in the middle of it, that Danny had an issue. He went for this traumatic event and no one really knew about it, and now no one's really here. Like, besides Ray and the lawyer, no one's really here to actually help him. His stepdad just wants to stay out of prison. His mom is like trying to keep her life going because she knows that if she still would have confessed and Danny was still going to prison, she would have lost her husband, she would have lost her house, she would have been homeless on the street. She would have cleared her conscience. But that isn't enough to actually persuade anyone to give her a chance anymore. It's gone, and honestly, it really hurts. Again, Tom Holland, with his facial expressions, again, he didn't have a single line in this episode, and he still delivered like he was actually speaking. And Amanda Seinfeld, being the main protagonist again, being the main character, with speaking with her lines, basically admitting she's not a perfect person. She may say to her mom, to Danny's mom, that yeah, I am trying to help your son. That doesn't mean she's a perfect person herself. She's made plenty of mistakes. Even with Danny herself, she's made plenty of mistakes. But at least she's admitting to her fault. At least she was admitting that I made the mistake, but I'm still doing what I can to help your son. And honestly, again, I really felt for Danny in this episode. At those final moments where it really sank to my stomach that this is how reality is. This is how things work. And I really feel genuinely sorry for him. I really do. But yeah, with that being said, what I mentioned at the top, where this is reminding me of The Great Gatsby. And so it's the book and the movie. So if you haven't even read or seen Great Gatsby, I'm going to give a spoiler. So I'm if you really do care, turn away. But it's just an example where Gatsby was not perfect. None of the characters in the story was perfect. They've all made mistakes. And sadly, it was just a series of unfortunate events, higher agendas, personal wants, trying to get themselves out of it, were that led to Gatsby dying. Because, Gatsby was blamed for killing someone that he never did. And then the husband of the deceased came to kill Gatsby because someone else misinformed him, or not misinformed him, told him a lie, saying that, oh, I had nothing to do with it. It wasn't me. It wasn't Daisy. It was Gatsby. That was Gatsby's car. It had to be Gatsby. And the impact to that scene, it was just in general, I just honestly fell forward in just the biggest way possible with that. And I really do not know again, like, you know, how people live with that. Because when we pick up later on after Gatsby's death, his only friend Nick was the only one who like cared for him and like, you know, actually still after death cared about him, like to be there for him at the end, like at the end of his like, you know, life. And the people who really committed that, you know, Daisy killed the woman and her husband basically led to Gatsby's death. They basically just walked away, just like they knew what the shitty thing they done, but they still walked away. They got away from the city to like prevent themselves from ever being, you know, blamed upon it. And they just ran away and like, you know, just presumed to like live life as it was and, you know, keeping that dark secret. This is kind of what it's reminding me of, that, you know, there's a chance that Danny could die at the next episode, and that, you know, I'm pretty sure they're going to feel like the emotional regret about it, but at the end of the day, like, they want to pursue their life. They don't want their lives to stop. They want to keep going, and that's not fair. That really isn't fair, because like other people are getting hurt for your mistakes, for your choices. So if that's the narrative they're going to go, I'm really curious to see how they're going to like end up the story next week, and I can't wait to see it. I really, really can. It's actually kind of crazy. Again, we still have to see how the finale is going to go, but like it's how 180 the show went. Where like I was very low on this show when we started, and then it just progressively got better and better and better as as the story unfolded. It went from being kind of cliche, mediocre at best, to kind of being like, it's not the best show I've ever seen. It's not. Again, like, you know, some of the stuff they pursue here is very average storytelling at times, but like just setting the expectations so low at the beginning and then raising it up, it's like, that's really, it's like something like, you know, it's like a roller coaster. Like, you know, you just keep going up and up and up, and next episode's going to be the decline, but not in a negative way, hopefully, but more in like, we're just ending the ride. But we'll see how it goes from there. But for now, again, I think this episode was really phenomenal. I thought this was a really great episode on all fronts. And I think this is the best episode for the series so far. We'll see how next week goes. But for now, I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. Enjoying it so much. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this week's episode of The Crowded Room. I would love to hear your responses and any comments you have down below. I would love to have a conversation with you. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in The Crowded Room. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two besides our Crowded Room episode reviews, right now we are doing Nancy Drew episode reviews each and every week after brand new episodes on the CW. And starting next week, we are returning back to the world of the DFW. In Heel Season 2, episode reviews kick off next week. So a little bit of a scheduling snafu even for the finale of the Crowded Room. So both episodes will air on Fridays. So with that being said, I do believe sometimes they upload episodes pretty early. So if I can, I will try and upload the finale review early. I can't promise that, to be 100% honest with you, but I will try my best. However, if I do not end up like doing what I just stated to do, I will instead... Heels is going to come out first. The season 2 premiere review will come out first on Friday night, and then you will get the Crowded Room finale review the next Saturday, and then the next week after that, which is our final Crowded Room review ever, which will be the the definitive review for the show. That will come out the week afterwards on the regular Friday time slot. And that will be the end of the Crowded Room starring Tom Holland. And hopefully then I will begin my pleading and bargaining to get Tobey Maguire his own show. Because like we're missing one more. We're just missing one more to the trifecta. We had Andrew Garfield Under the Banner, and now we had Tom Holland's Crowded Room. We need Tobey Maguire to lead his own show. I know he's in that other show called I can't pronounce it either, but he's in a new show, but like he's not the main lead. I need him to be the main lead in something. Just to continue the Spider Boys continuing onwards. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, like, favorite, share if you want to, ring the bell and follow us on social media. But until we see each other again, for all you members, I don't even know why I said that. Thank you so much for watching. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.